Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into something kind of fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about moon signs.
Okay.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at this
Cool.
article called Moon Signs Decoded, Why You Cry During Sappy Movies.
Oh, no.
Or don't.
Okay.
And by the end of this deep dive,
Right.
you should have a pretty good understanding of what moon signs are
Yep.
and how they might actually be playing a much bigger role in your life than you realize,
Interesting.
especially when it comes to your emotions.
Yeah, for sure.
So have you
Yeah.
have you ever noticed that
Mhm.
some people just seem to get way more emotional than others?
Oh, absolutely. I've definitely seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're watching a movie and someone's like full on sobbing
Yeah.
and you're sitting there like, I
Oh, dry-eyed.
don't get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are they crying?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, astrology says it just might have something to do with their moon sign.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's maybe back up a little bit.
Okay.
For people who aren't as familiar with like the concept of a moon sign, can
Yeah.
you just explain like
Yeah, what exactly is a moon sign?
Yeah.
If I'm like
So in
a
astrology,
total newbie.
your moon sign represents the position of the moon
Okay.
at the exact moment you were born.
Okay.
And it's thought to reveal your inner emotional world.
Okay.
Like your instincts, your feelings, your kind of subconscious patterns.
So it's not really visible.
Not necessarily like your outward personality, right?
Yeah.
That's more like your sun sign.
Right.
Your moon sign is all that kind of stuff underneath the surface.
Right. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
almost more important in a way.
I think a lot of people actually identify even more with their moon sign than their sun sign.
Right.
Because it's so personal.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that.
It really...
That their moon sign just feels so much more like them than their sun sign.
Yeah, and that makes sense because,
Yeah.
your sun sign is kind of like what you present to the world, right? It's your outward personality,
Yeah.
the mask you wear.
Yeah.
But the moon sign, that's like
Yeah.
the raw, unfiltered you.
Yeah.
It's the you when you're alone, when you're feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's the you that you might not even show everybody else.
Yeah, I like that, like an unfiltered you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really does influence how you react to things, how you handle stress, all that good stuff. So definitely important to know.
Okay. So the article that we're looking at today,
Your moon sign.
Moon Signs Decoded,
Yeah.
talks about this connection between the
Yeah.
moon and
And crying.
crying
Yeah.
during sappy movies.
Yeah. I mean, do you
Is this something that you've...
find yourself crying during sappy movies?
Not so much. Not so much sappy
Or
movies.
not sappy movies, okay.
Like maybe
Maybe something else, though.
like really beautiful
Yeah.
nature documentaries, maybe,
Oh, wow.
but not really like sappy movies.
Okay.
Or certain moon signs.
Do you know what your moon sign is?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I'm a Scorpio moon,
Oh, interesting.
which I feel like makes sense
Yeah.
because I do have like
So you're saying you have that
intensity,
that intensity,
but not necessarily like
Yeah.
crying at the
Not crying at the drop of a hat.
drop of a hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that actually makes sense because
Yeah.
Scorpio is a water sign.
Right.
So water signs are generally known for being very emotional, but it's not always expressed in tears.
Right.
Sometimes it's more of like an internal brooding kind of
Right.
intensity.
Right.
So that actually tracks pretty well with Scorpio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are definitely some moon signs that are more prone to crying during a movie.
Okay. Like which ones?
You know, like your classic water signs, right?
Sure.
They're like Cancer,
Mhm.
Pisces.
Yeah.
These are like the feelers of the zodiac.
Mhm.
So they
Well,
really
they're
cry
crying,
easily, but
right.
they also really absorb the emotions of those around them.
Right.
So
Like you're watching a movie with a Cancer moon and they start crying.
Yeah.
You might start crying too.
Yeah.
Even if you're not really that into the movie.
yeah.
Because they're just so...
Like, it's contagious.
Yeah. They're just so empathetic. They just really
Mhm.
feel everything very deeply.
Mhm.
And they're not afraid to show it.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand,
Yeah.
you've got like your Earth sign moons, right? So Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus.
Mhm.
These are your more grounded, practical signs.
Right.
So they might not cry as easily,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean they're not feeling things.
Right. They just might express it in a different way.
Express it differently.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
a Capricorn moon, they might internalize their emotions, you know?
Right.
Or they might express them through acts of service.
Oh,
Like
wow.
instead of crying, they might go and like make you a cup of tea.
Right. Right.
Or, you know, do something practical to help you feel better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not always about the tears. It's
Right.
just about
yeah.
how, you know, different moon signs have different ways of processing and expressing their emotions.
Yeah, and I think that's so important to keep in mind, right?
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
not like a value judgment
Right.
of one is better or worse.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's
It's just different ways of being.
Yeah, okay.
And it's all good.
So crying's just one way
Yeah.
that this
Yeah.
can kind of show up.
Absolutely. Yeah, your moon sign can influence so many other things.
Like what are some other
Yeah, I mean, think about it like
examples of how
you handle conflict,
Yeah.
what you find relaxing, what you need in a relationship.
Right.
All of these things are influenced by your moon sign.
So like
Yeah.
for instance, if I'm a Scorpio moon,
Which you are.
which I am,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Well, Scorpio moons are known for being very intense,
Right.
passionate,
Okay.
and they really crave deep connection.
Okay.
So in relationships, they're not going to be satisfied with something superficial. They want
Right.
to really merge with their partner on a soul level.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
Interesting.
that's just one example. You know, like someone with a fiery Aries moon,
Right.
they might express their emotions through passionate outbursts or action,
Okay, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
While an air sign moon, like Gemini, might process their feelings by talking it out or even writing about it.
Right.
So it's so fascinating how
Yeah, it's cool.
these different moon signs can manifest in such different ways.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It is.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
like really knowing your moon sign can be
Absolutely.
a really helpful tool
It can.
for understanding yourself
Yeah, for sure.
better.
Yeah, it gives you this framework
Yeah.
for understanding not just how you express emotions,
Yeah.
but also what you need emotionally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, for example, a Taurus moon, they might find comfort in routine
Okay.
and sensory experiences,
Okay.
while a Libra moon seeks harmony and connection
Right.
in their relationship. So it's
Yeah.
not just about like how you feel things, it's also about what makes you feel good,
Yeah.
what makes you feel safe and secure.
Right. Right.
And that's really valuable information to have about yourself and about the people you're close to.
Right.
Because then you can kind of tailor your interactions accordingly. Right. Like if you know that your partner's a Taurus moon
Yeah.
and they need routine,
Right.
then you're not going to be springing last minute surprises on them all the time.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you know that's going to throw them off balance.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really about
Yeah.
using this knowledge to kind of navigate
Right.
your relationships in a more harmonious way.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this has been super interesting.
It is fascinating.
But I do want to acknowledge that,
Yeah.
not everyone
Of course.
believes in astrology.
Right.
And I'm sure some people are listening to this right now thinking like,
Yeah.
this is all a bunch of
Hocus pocus.
elks. Right.
Right.
So
Totally valid.
like how
Yeah.
how do you respond?
I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge that astrology is not a science.
Right.
It's not something that can be empirically proven.
Right.
And it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all explanation for human behavior.
Right.
But I think even if you don't subscribe to the predictive side of things, exploring your moon sign can be a really valuable tool for self-awareness.
Right.
It's about recognizing patterns in your own emotional responses and using that knowledge to grow
Right.
and to understand yourself better
Yeah.
and to understand the people around you better.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that everyone can benefit from.
Right. It's not about
Yeah.
saying, oh, I'm a Cancer moon, so I must be overly emotional.
Right. It's more about understanding.
It's about
Yeah.
your natural inclination.
Your tendencies.
Yeah. And like how
Yeah.
you typically respond.
Right. And then you can make choices
Right.
from that place of awareness
Yeah.
rather than just being reactive.
Yeah.
So it's really empowering in a way.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So to sum up, it sounds like
Yeah.
moon signs provide a really interesting
They do.
potential framework
Yeah.
for understanding those unconscious patterns
Absolutely.
that are driving
Yeah.
our reactions and needs
Yeah, for sure.
as individuals.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
And that's something to think about.
a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But here's something else to think about.
Okay.
How could understanding your moon sign
Yeah.
help you bring
Okay.
more understanding to your relationships?
It's a great question.
Not just your own moon sign, but like
Yeah, the moon signs of
your
moon sign.
your family members.
Yeah, your friends.
Your friends.
Your
Their partner. Because then you can kind of understand where they're coming from.
Right.
You can understand why they react the way they do.
Yeah.
And it can just create so much more compassion and empathy in your relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think so.
It's cool.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that's our deep dive for today.
Okay, great.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
All right, see you then.
Bye.